Hi, welcome to Cool Couch Cinema.
Yeah.
We're missing the couch today.
Yeah.
Cool chairs.
Yeah. But yeah, we're, talking about Dark, so we had to round up on the table so we could look at each other like normal human beings.
We can have a conversation.
Yeah, more so.
Yeah.
More so.
Because I always try to meet your eyes, both ears through the camera, but I also can't see that far, so I don't know if you're actually looking at me, so this is way nicer.
Yeah,
I like this.
This is... Hey, the couch just makes us seem like we're cool and comfy.
It does.
I've never been confused by any of those by anyone. You don't look cool or comfy. I'm like, I know.
Comfy and current.
All right, so we just finished up Dark, and a lot happens. So let's just start this. We're here with Christopher as always.
Hello.
And our friend Heather and myself. Champenstein.
Our friend Chomp Champenstein.
And, if you have any ideas of things to watch next, let us know. We have ideas, but we haven't decided. We're gonna just watch The Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher every Sunday from now until the end of our lives.
4 of them, so we can just go through and watch them all.
I don't want to.
Like that.
If they don't all have Ashton Kutcher in them, why do I want to watch it?
That's true. Maybe he makes cameos in the other ones, during the time traveling.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, because I did not know there was even a third one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That blew my mind when I figured that out. I was like, why would they make a third one?
Yeah, why would they make a second one?
That's
You can go as far as say, why did they even make the first one?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Ashton Kutcher needed to time travel.
All right, Heather, take it away for our short little recap that we have.
What we know is a drop. What we don't know is an ocean.
Indeed.
I just love that quote. I wanted to include it. I thought it was very important. Because I'm going to use it in as many conversations as I can from now until my death.
Well, you'll sound really, really epic.
I know, that's why I did the pause.
Stoic. Someone will be like, damn, dude. What does
decided...
she know?
But listen, I just want to know
but
where
what don't I know?
I just want to know where the baking soda is. Is it in this aisle or not, miss? You're very confusing.
What I know is simply a drop. Christopher.
Like, do you work here?
That's something that I question quite frequently. Anyway, so in the last 2 there was 8 episodes, right? Mm-hmm. So in episode 7, we find out it was kind of just a recap of what people in Wyndon had been doing from 1888 until 2053. It's it's filling in the blanks that yes. With the characters, how they spent their time pretty much in Wyndon leading up to the events of us finding out that the knot is I always write it down weird in a way where I'm like, yes, this will explain it, and then when I'm going back and reading it doesn't really make sense. So Tannhaus creates a time machine to prevent his son and his family from dying, and instead accidentally creates the knot, which is the 2 worlds, Jonas and Marta's world. That's the origin. It's not what Adam had thought, which was the birth of the
unknown.
The unknown, yes. Claudia is actually the one who discovers this, and she wants to prevent the time machine from even happening so that it will keep Regina alive. So I discovered that I accidentally was right about my original theory that Tannhaus was the one that created everything. Which was really cool, especially because I wasn't trying. I was making a joke about how sad it would be. So I'm, powerful, I guess.
You truly understand time travel.
You know what? I watched 3 seasons of Dark, but
might as well give you a fucking degree.
But what I don't know is an ocean. They will never be able to fill that in. Anyway, but yeah, that's what I wrote down for my recap of it, because the rest of it, again, is just kind of filling in what the characters had done, how certain characters came to be, and how they figure out how to stop things or make it normal, I guess, for lack of a better word. But yeah, so basically, in order for things to stop repeating at the way that they are, they have to prevent Tannhouse's son from dying. Because that is what started all of it. And that's what I've got for my recap. And then I just have thoughts and stuff after that. So,
all right.
I just had a lot of feelings about it, obviously. And I feel like the recap for the most important thing is just Tannhaus created the knot using a time machine to bring his son back. In order for everything to stop, they have to prevent the son from dying, which means none of them will exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's it. That is it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard. It brought a lot of feelings that I didn't know I had for fictional characters.
Yeah.
That was very, very, as my baby Jonas, like, getting to that episode and realizing that, like, he has to sacrifice himself in a sense to create or prevent any of this from happening was very hard. It's very difficult for me to come to terms with. I can't imagine their problem with it because me as a viewer couldn't handle it.
All right. Christopher, jokes. Things to say.
I have a lot to say, like a lot. Like is a very so I was like, oh, like after we finished it and it was like Tuesday, I was like, oh, I can actually like rewatch certain episodes because like, you know, I was just like, I gotta, you know, keep it down. So I was like, I had 3 lingering questions at the end of watching the series. Was one, what was up with like Goo, Jonas, and Martha? Like they see like themselves covered in goo. Yeah, like, what the hell's that about?
Oh, wait, that wasn't my question. Sorry.
2, why was Noah building, like, chair time machines? I was, like, I couldn't really, like, place it.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 was, like, who was the dude who young Noah killed at the cave? Like, I was, like... Who?
That was...
Like, and then I answered all those questions.
Right.
And I think the first 2 are, like, I think they work, but the third one, like, going back and, like, watching it, and was just, like... I was like, luckily all my roommates were gone. I was like, I screamed for like 5 minutes. Like, I was like doing something, was like, ah! Just like screaming. I was like, that's bananas.
Yeah. Cham filled me in on that one because it didn't even register in my mind
at all.
Cham was like, to go back. I was like, oh my god, yeah, you're right. That's exactly who that was.
Screaming.
Yeah.
So like one, I just think that like for them covered in goo, I think like the fuel, the time machine fuel is black.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Well, and also the God particle itself is it's like that.
Yeah, so they're kind of like it's kind of like they're tangled in it, and you know they don't have like a huge through line with that like throughout the series, but like I think that's just what that I just was like, oh, that'll be the symbolism for me that'll work, is that like they are like, you know, just like they are entangled in this.
Yeah. I think that's a really good explanation for that. I never really thought about it. I was just like, yep, that's the thing.
Because it was weird. Like,
it makes sense.
Spectral, like when we like in the first part, it's like it was like a ghost. But and I thought it was actually going to be like when they're in when Jonas and Martha are in like the Tesseract or whatever. I thought that would be like included in there too. Mm-hmm. But it's like, all right, no. Second is like my whole idea of like Noah as a character like switches hard at like the end of the show, where you're just like, oh, this nigga was never a bad guy. Like he was doing the same thing essentially Claudia was doing. He was just looking for his daughter. Like it's all he was doing. You're just like, oh my god, like I had misjudged you, Noah. I apologize, good sir. And you're like, that's all he's doing. And then you know, Adam makes him give him this book and tells him to do that. And I think that was like the connection with with the priest uniform more than it being like a like camouflage.
Yeah.
But it was more of like a symbolism of the narrative of him like living by like a book or like the book in that sense. So
that makes sense.
Because like as Jonas says, or Adam says, they have to go through all these iterations of the device to get to this point. So he's just like, Noah's just like got the blinders on. And he's just trying to find his daughter. So he's just, you know, melting kids' brains or whatever. It must be done. So it's like, all right, cool. And then
And part of the reason is too, like, they have to do that, like, because they find the bodies and
they have to do. Yeah,
it's just like the bodies have to end up in these places and through time as well. So it's just like it's also part of the whole scheme of things. And it's like and you find out later on when they find the bodies at the power plant site that like they had to find the bodies there and these sorts of things as well. So
like, it gets the ball moving. And 3, I mean, I was like, holy shit, like he kills Bartosz, he kills his father, and Jonas is like, hey, since I had to kill my dad, you got to kill yours too, some evil monster man. And that was another thing too. Adam, like when we first meet Adam, not scary. Young Adam, terrifying lizard man who is like that made like he had become this slave to the cycle at this point, to where like even like seeing his own mother, however feelings you have about Hannah, he is still like in his mind like, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
like you are not like this. This is not the time. Like you're not supposed to be here. I know how this game works. And you're just like, and because he's just blank, and even like Hannah shows like motherly love. She doesn't care. He's all like cripped up and like looks like a raisin. She touches him. She loves him. She's like, sweet. I got my son back.
She hasn't seen him in how long?
You got you got a little sister. Like let's be a family.
Like, but I know that little sister. I know where she has to go. And then he just sends this like child to the fucking terrible ass future.
Yeah,
like,
he just puts her in like a PUBG server and just like, good luck. Like, all right. Yeah, and I was like, I would have thought she got the scar like when she was in the future, but like no, I guess.
I wish that
early Germany blows.
Yeah, I wish that they would have explained that because it looked very similar to the one that Martha has.
Old Martha just go around cutting people.
Yeah, I just like.
I see you are a time traveler.
Right? Like, you gotta stop doing this.
We gotta mark you somehow. Like, I don't know, and I thought that was interesting, like because. I was paying attention to a lot of the scars. I like how, like, at the very end, Waller's just about to tell that story of what happened to his dang eye.
Yeah.
So close, and we still never got it. And I think that's my favorite running gag throughout the show.
Yeah, it is a good gag.
Yeah, and also I think it ties into, like, just the story of it all. It's like, and also, like, one of my just favorite things, you just gotta let the mystery be on certain things. I mean, such is life. Like, that's just one thing. It's like, there are mysteries in life. There's unanswered questions.
Right.
And you can't just really... you'll never get the answers.
I just wanted to go back real fast because you talked about your third thing and just kind of passed on. That was one of the things I think I benefited from watching the show throughout it being released, is that I had gone back and watched the season 1 and 2 before watching season 3 before it came out. So when you're introduced to older Bartosz later and all of these things start happening, that's when it started clicking for me that's like who Noah had like killed at the very beginning of the show, which was that shit just what a like weird long haul payoff that is.
Yeah.
Like they don't tell you anything about this character. They're just like, okay, here's this man, and most characters you see, in one way or another. Mm-hmm. But in that character, you don't even think about it. You don't even think about the fact that you know everybody because it's so early in the show. You're not even using that, like, mindset quite yet. It's just like, oh, this wild young dude just murdered this, like, older dude because he just doesn't want to be in the cult anymore.
Right.
Like, whatever, don't have to care about it. And then, you don't see older Bartosz until... the future, like with the future Marta, or like the other world Marta, you see
it's like halfway through season 3.
And that's when you finally see like that's older Bartosz, and then like you don't quite see it there at 100%, but then once you get to the end of season 3 and they really like just nail it down that like Noah is his son, Agnes is his daughter, then you're just like, oh my god, like and that's. We always talk about how much you guys hated Bartosz, but I just feel so bad for him.
Yeah, like now it came at the end. I was like, Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
I just feel so bad for him because he was
just a turd. But I get it.
He was just like a pawn through this entire, I guess, game, basically, in this entire time game, and he was just like a pawn to Jonas and like Adam, and just like, okay, well, I'm going to send your wife back in time. And then send her to
Twice.
you. Yeah, send her to you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that shit's wild. And then, his son kills him. It's just some shit, dude. Just like, his mom dies. It's a terrible hand handed to him.
Yeah.
It really does. I feel like, in a sense, all of the characters kind of do, like, in different ways, of course. Like, I feel like Ulrich, he got a fucking shit hand, too. Like, after all that, like, after Hannah, all that stuff, it was just like terrible. I feel terrible for him, like Katarina too. Like, I don't know, they all got handed shit cards and did not know what to do with them.
Yeah,
correct.
Sure. Okay, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to go back and touch on that real fast.
Totally understandable. One of the things I had to like reconcile as I was like thinking about the show after the end, it was like I don't believe that the show was necessarily saying, like, when I first watched it, I felt that was like, is Dark trying to say that like certain people shouldn't exist? Like, and I was just like, no, I don't think that's what they're trying to say. And as I was like mulling it over, I came to the conclusion, it's like, well, actually, no. Like, it's actually their existence is more, it's more important. Because in order to exist, they exist to go on this suicide mission to stop, to untangle the knot. But then when you look at all of the characters who are the children of time, as I'll call them, all of them, I think it's due to their existence and it being so weird. I think they are dealt shit hands because of that. Like, everyone who is like involved into like the timeness has a horrible life, and also it ripples out to other people. Like, I was thinking about like Agnes's character. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm down with sexual exploration. Go for it. Knock that out. Cool. Do it. But, like, her just, like, bumping into Egon and, like, their family and just destroying it, like, she shouldn't exist. Like, if anything, like, she would have to, like Egon and their family would have to dissolve, like, naturally. But all she does, she comes in, goes down on her, and, like, deuces out. Like, that's not cool.
That is like basically how that goes. Yeah,
and like, that's not cool. And then everything else, like, or everyone who was like actually like who was a spawn of this like this weird time is like messing up people's lives.
Now that you mentioned that, that is kind of I'm trying to imagine what Adam said to her and how she interpreted it the way that she did. Like, hey, you need to go do this. She's like, what can I do? Let's explore each other. Interesting. I wonder, like, did he give her exact instructions on, like, what she was supposed to do? Or did he just, like, say, like, loosely, like, hey, you need to make it so that this happens? And she kind of went about her own way. Like, I don't know. That is interesting, like, just little things like that, thinking about, like, did he tell them exactly what he needed them to do when he sent them back? Or did he just give them, like, you just have to make sure that this happens?
Agnes like, listen, I'm gonna call Audible. Right? and it's just like, and that's the thing too. It was like, okay, like, oh, like all of these people, like, and trying to figure one thing out. Like, it has this, like, the language of it is very strange, and how you're giving information and how you have to filter it. Like, I had the hardest time putting this together. So, like, Francisca and Elizabeth, what is their familial relationship? Like, how are they related?
It would be...
Like, are you asking?
Yeah.
Like sisters?
No.
Well, it would be her... granddaughter?
Yeah. It took me forever, like, to piece it together. Like, wait. But it was how the information was presented to us, where it was like, oh, no. Like, oh.
I never thought about Francisca or Elizabeth in those, like...
Yeah, those times when you're just like, sisters, cool, go ahead. And then you have to, like, piece it all together. Because, like Jonas and Bartosz are... like, their grandchild and grandparent.
Great
yeah.
grandchild.
Yeah. And
I was just, when I went like that a little bit ago, I was literally thinking, like, they're just...
Well, and Marta also dated, technically Bartosz is related to her, so, like, she dated Bartosz. And
I was trying to think about how many different ways Jonas and Marta are related.
It's like her great-great-grandfather or something, like, great grandfather.
They are the glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, that shit's wild.
All these characters are just a glitch in the Matrix.
And then with that language, and then putting it all together on like how like the show is like presented, like because the way that like time works or how we believe it works, or the science is that everything that we've watched all happened at once, opposed to the untangling of the knot. Mm-hmm. So like we now know that like when we see Mikhail kill himself, Jonas was there. Like Jonas told him he had that he had to do it. And then from that moment after he goes and his father kills himself, Claudia takes him to the cave he's essentially like killing him twice essentially.
Yeah.
Like he's got, and like now that we know and like have that information presented, it's a completely different like it's just completely different along with everything else. A little weird thing. Katarina's mother gets the St. Christopher necklace, like getting an abortion and then like essentially performing one. Like,
but that's what I don't know. In my head, when she went to get the abortion, I always assumed that like at the last minute she didn't do it, and that was Katarina.
That would have been way too old.
Yeah.
Would it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how I imagined it, and that's why I was like, is that why she's so pissed at Katarina all the time? Is like,
and I was thinking like the opposite though, where it was like, because it was like when I did that, I was like, okay, wait a second, okay, yeah, if she did get this abortion, then like, I was like, then what the fuck is she mad at Katarina? Like, like this was planned. This was number 2. I think all that shit would have kind of like quailed out or something, but she was like, nope, I just shot the head.
We also didn't take into consideration that this happens like. Right after World War II, maybe the laws were different there. Maybe it was harder for her to get access to that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I'm pretty sure behind that door is just somebody, like, punching her.
Or maybe, like, did they ever say who Katarina's father is? Maybe he died in the war. Maybe that was, like, her mother being like...
They don't.
I know, that was, like, way too early.
I have gone down some, like, dark Reddit threads where they do talk about, like, incest within Katarina's family and stuff, and that, like, Katarina is potentially the... like offspring of like an incestual relationship, which is why like her mother is so like angry all the time.
Yeah, there's gotta be some fuel to this fire.
And I feel like that's like something I feel like maybe hint at in that scene where she is in the place getting an abortion. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've read that.
Yeah.
So I can't pull it up, like recall it really easily in my head right now. But yeah, no, that shit. And like honestly, the St. Christopher like pendant thing, that whole like idea of how that like went through time was really interesting.
The travel of the pendant.
Yeah, it was really, really interesting to me because it's just like it's one of those things that's kind of like offhand in the very beginning. It's once again one of those things that's very offhand within the first season. It's just like you see him like putting it on like Marta's pillow and her wearing it and like him having it, all these things, but you don't understand the significance of it until the very like end of the show, where you're just seeing it kind of go throughout time and where it's ended up and who's had it and what's happened to those people.
Yeah,
which is
I was just trying to create the timeline in my head of like the fucking pendant. It
gets very murky at the end.
Yeah.
Because potentially there are 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're from different worlds. But they're still like, but it's still like the one, because it one traveled with Marta, but one traveled with Jonas. So it's like there are 2. So it's like there's these artifacts from those worlds. It was very interesting. One thing that like popped in my head when washing dishes. I think Tannhause's book...
I love how this show works like that.
Tannhause's book comes from the origin world. And, like, all the stuff of Tannhause's, like, stuff comes from the origin world. Like, that's why it's there.
That's why it's, like, a paradox, too, within the world.
And that was, because the intro scene when, I think it's either the second last episode or the last episode, when, like, Tannhaus is clearly on a television show.
The Schrodinger
experiment. He's on a television show, probably doing a book promotion.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, that's what I was like putting. I was like, oh, that's it. Like, all of this stuff comes from the origin world, and I mean, we can keep this one going for a while. I think I like how the ending is up in the air. It's very much up in the air, and you get to decide if it's happening again or if it's just not. And it was just like it was a power outage because they don't have a nuclear plant. Mm-hmm. Like maybe it's coal or whatever's they got like sauerkraut just powering whatever's going on over there. We don't know. But like like with that whole idea of like, and I've said this before through all our conversations, that like history abhors a paradox. Like there's nothing that says that like, yes, Jonas and Martha stopped him that time, but like the next day they could have been like T-boned or whatever. Like something like they did, like we've just seen that once you, like every action has a reaction. Mm-hmm. So something maybe happened later where Tannhaus had to like put together a time machine or whatever. Like I don't think our people, I think they get out of it for a little bit, but not the whole time. That's just my ending.
So to touch on that, I do think like if he had happened to die at a different time, I don't think it would have been created the same reaction from Tannhaus, because I think the reason why he was so devastated by that was because of how it ended, or that conversation went, and how he couldn't properly express himself because his son was so angry and like all that stuff. I feel like if the next day that would have happened, okay, maybe it could have created the same reaction. Maybe he still would have made the time machine and stuff, but I feel like at that point they would have been able to talk. Like maybe he would have been able to put his words together, and like he still would have obviously been really upset and all that kind of stuff, but maybe there would have had been some sort of like closure with that previous to that conversation. I think that was the main reason why he was so upset, was just how that conversation ended and how that was the last conversation that he had with his son. That's personally what I think. I don't know, because, you know, when people die, you always think about the last thing that you said to them.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. So I think, my personal opinion, that was the main reason he created that, to, you know, to prevent his son's death, was because it just, his son died thinking that specific way about him, and like thinking that he didn't love him and like all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Like maybe he does die a few days later or something different, but I don't think that him just dying would have created that need to turn back time. I think it was that one instance.
It would have only happened then.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Because maybe the desire for it wouldn't have been as strong, because, you know, my son died, but he died knowing that I loved him and like all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's the same, but not the same. So I was thinking about that though too.
One of the things I loved about watching this again and knowing this is, and I said this to Chris probably when we were watching like season 1, that like everything surrounding, like they give you little clues that like Tannhaus is like has like a pretty major thing to do with it, because everything surrounding him is basically a paradox. The book is paradox. He doesn't write it, he just gets it, like, and then it's existent. Like the time machine, same sort of deal. Like he doesn't, like, it's just like a lot of the things surrounding him are all just like paradoxes. They just all exist in this world because of time travel. So it's one of those things where you're kind of clued into something about him, I feel like, isn't quite what it seems.
It's like what you had said to me, like, Mikkel, at the beginning of the show. Like, the thing that he says is, what does he say again? You summed it up perfectly.
I can't remember, but he's just talking about misdirection. He's doing the magic trick, and he's talking to Ulrich about, like, how if you're good at, like, magic, you do misdirection. And, you know, like, when you first watch that season and that scene, you kind of, and as you get through the show, you think it's about Adam and all of this trickery going on. And then the story closes itself out, and you realize that the whole time, the writers of Dark have been doing this really great mystery thing where they're giving you a red herring basically the entire time. Like, the red herring is Adam and Marta's worlds, and you think that this is the way that these worlds have to end. These are the, like, knots, all of these things, when really this one character who's been off in the side is really the, like, the master doing all this stuff when he doesn't even realize it too. Yeah. So it's a very, like, good misdirection throughout the entire show, where it doesn't, you don't learn this shit until the last 2 episodes. It doesn't show its hands until the last 2 episodes, and really not until the end of, like, this, like, last or the 7th episode, I feel like, do you really understand that, like, he has created this, like, these worlds, that there is another world, where, like, that scene where Claudia is talking about the origin world, and you get those glimpses that he did this thing, but you don't necessarily understand what's the impetus of that. So I don't know. I just love Tannhouse's character a shit ton, and I love like that idea of like who he is and how. I don't know. It's just such a cool thing to do.
Yeah, many weaker shows have failed doing something like that, especially for like how much he was not involved in the show. Like, you know, all these other characters have, you know, these arcs, these story beats, and everything else like that. But it's like, and that's the thing too. It's like the only like Tannhaus is important in the origin world because like that's the divergent. Like that is actually the important one. Because like when I was thinking about it, it's like the thing is like once they give him Charlotte, that throws off anything else that he could do, like that is origin world.
And Charlotte's even a paradox.
Yeah, and it's like she's her own. She's like she's her own parent. She raised herself, and so it's like they really put him in this position to where, you know, because like, you know, I was like, you know, I just think he's like kind of like the MacGuffin man, you know, and then you find out, you know, he's like he is like the linchpin in this whole situation, and it was just like, oh, like wow, like I would any other show I would have been like, you know, like that's weak tea, but like here they did their work and pulled it off very well.
It's like when we were talking about it the other day at work, like it started all because of Tannhaus, who was a minor character, and I mean relatively minor, and it ends because of Regina, who is also relatively a minor character. So you have like all like these character buildups of like all of these like incredible characters throughout them, but it, like the story doesn't really have anything to do with them. It's just these two characters that are like, let's keep her alive, let's end it all, guys, let's do it. But let's start it all because my kid died. Like let's fucking. It's
all because kids died.
Yeah.
Speaking of Regina, I was like, when I was like watching the episode, I was like, I gotta find out who her dad is. I didn't know who her dad is. I was like, oh, it was Claudia's husband. Like, who would have thought? Like, oh.
It's Bernard.
Bernard?
Yeah, it's Bernard, the guy from...
Oh, yeah, like Heigel's dad or whatever, right? Yeah. But yeah,
sure, guy?
Yeah.
I was making sure, because I knew the name, but I like couldn't remember who it was.
It's
not Tronte, she says, I wish it had been you.
Yeah. But if it would have been, though, Regina wouldn't have lived, which is like this weird blessing where it is like, oh, like, hey, like, don't get me wrong, you know, infidelity, like, you know, hey, like, I think it sucks for, you know, like, for people who care about it, but, like, oh, thank goodness that, like, Regina wasn't, because, like, that's important, too, because if she was, then I don't even think Claudia would have had the inspiration to, like, untangle the knot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, without her, none of this would have possibly become undone,
Which is, by the way, if you are dealing, we've learned this from Claudia, if you're dealing with your future self and your future self asks, have you met your future self? You lie and say yes. You're like, yeah, no, we talk all the time. Please don't shoot me.
Maybe I haven't.
I think this is just me like projecting or just trying to add a little oomph to it, but I felt it was very like it just made me feel good. I'm talking about your boy Magnus and Francisca. Out of all the like Adam and Noah they're talking about this paradise. You know, they have this whole paradise narrative going. But the only people who actually are in a paradise are those two, are Magnus and Francisca. Like, in Marta's world, like, they spend their last moments together. Mm-hmm. You
holding hands.
Like, what other way would anyone want to go out? You know, it's like, that's a paradise to be, like, to, like, know that is happening and just be, like, the burning monk. You're just like, boom, this is, like, where else would I want to be than next to the person I love? Mm-hmm. And then same again, where it's like, dude, I saw titties. You know, in Jonas' world, he's like, he needs nothing, and like in all of his in the Jonas world, like that's where all of his like pain comes from when he's like, oh, she tricking, like I don't know, like she is like their love is this like paradise that like kind of like protects both of them, and even when they are in like the 1800s or whatever. They're like they never really complain. Like Bartosz is the one like
because they're together.
Yeah, but it was like who cares? Yeah, like it doesn't matter, dude. And I was just like, no, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, like I said, this thing's been
yeah, I got all emotional like when I was trying to decide what I thought like the overall theme of the show was, or like what the message is or whatever, and I was just like, what would you do to keep your loved ones alive? Like, that's just what I kept thinking in my head, was just, like, the extent that these people go for their kids.
Yeah.
was like, damn, I wish I had, like, parents that loved me like that. Like, that would do anything to, like, keep me alive.
Yeah.
Or, like, what would you do to keep, like, to create a better world, even?
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, like, Marta and Jonas, like, throughout the whole thing, their whole gig is trying to break the cycle and make sure both of them exist, and that's, like, a better world for them, but they realize that's not possible, and the best possible world is a world without them completely, which I think, you know, and it's just like them giving up everything to make sure other people can be happy.
Yeah, and that's one thing, like I said, about, like, what I was, like, conflicted about, like, people's existences, and it's like, actually, no, it's like, it's no different than, like, them, you know, like, storming Normandy or anything like that, like, they're, and, like, that's the thing about, like, being, like, a fanatic or, like, believing in something, like, better than yourself, like, you know, your perfect world. Like, I always think about this all the time. Like, if I was, like, you know, I'm a big Star Trek fan. If I was ever, like, teleported to the Star Trek world, I'd be, like, a racist monster there. Like, I'm not, like, I can't exist in that world at all. Like, I think it would be cool and everything, but I'd be like, oh, you got, you know, like, oh, you know, like, I would essentially be like a drooling baby there. Like, everyone's doing, like, astrophysics and knows, like, 6 instruments or whatever, and they don't think, like, fart jokes are funny, probably, you know? Like, so I'm like, screw, like, I'm not meant to be there, but, like, everything that I could, like, do in, like, the hopes of, like, making the world like that, like, I have to do here and now. And that's, like, and that's another thing, too, about, like, that I really enjoy about the Dark, especially, like, I think what time travel narratives can present themselves is that, like, they are essentially always in the present. It's not even, like, doesn't matter if they're, like, in 1922 or, like, 2050. It is their present. Like, they're always present and aware and, like, in the time and space that they, like, have to be and, like, need to be. And they're just, you know, they're doing what they think is best. And, you know, like, you know, what's the, you know, the road to hell is paved in good intentions. But, like, the thing is, like, Claudia is able to, like, get past that and kind of, like, do what is needed. Like, she's the one who's, like, tracks, like, because that's the thing when she's like, oh, I need to figure out, like, how, like, what has happened, like, what's going on, and starts tracking, essentially, like, Jonah's lineage and trying to figure out, like, who's the odd man out. And that's when she clicks it, where it's like, oh, it's not, like, these people are the odd man out, but they are not the odd man out. And that's to look in, like, other areas. And it's just like, oh, my goodness. Very interesting. Like I said, and everything just taking place, like, at once. Like, there's this really great comic book Hickman did. It was Hickman and Patara, called Red Wing. It's like this time war, and it's like this fighter pilot who's in his time ship gets, like, busted up. He's, like, deep in enemy history. That's, like, the tagline supposes, and they give this really great.
Sounds like Hickman.
Yeah, it's really great. Yeah. And there's a whole part about explaining time travel to the time fighter pilots, where it's like, and it's like, and you know him, like, he dabbles in scientists. I think he's like, I think his twin brother's like a NASA, like, a rocket scientist.
Doesn't surprise me at all. So, he's like, let me get in your head.
Yeah, super nerd. So he's explaining time as like a stack of discs. And, like, in between each disc is like a ramp, essentially, and, like, that is how you, like, you can't think of it linearly. You have to think of it as it all, like, time is all stacked on together, all happening at one point in time, and you're just, like, traveling through all of that. So it's like origin world's on top, and then we got Jonas world, and then we got Martha world, and they're all, like, Claudia's, like, zipping through all that, like, at any point in time.
I wonder if she was covered in radiation.
Yeah, and she's and and that was like one of the things when you brought up when we were watching it about like Jonah getting messed up. It was like they let you know that it is the lightning, but it's also still, like, I'm pretty sure that, like, I mean, like, radiation has to melt you at some point. Or
especially when you do it, like, as frequently as they were doing.
Like, how much does Adam have to, like, go to be like?
And how much is in Wyndon to just begin with? Like, living in Wyndon with that nuclear power plant there, with them trying to hide it in the trees and shit, like Mr. Burns. Like, there's got to be...
just dump it into the water.
Like, there's got to be a level of it, a certain level anyway, which is why, like, after the apocalypse, the town was completely closed off. And they're in this weird apocalyptic world where everyone's dying and it's every man for themselves, but, like, the outside world is fine. Like, it's got to be some high level of radiation.
Sucks for Wyndon. And I think they even, like, they're even stating that, like, it's what kills Regina. Like, having this power plant is what kills her.
Because if she never would have met Boris or Alexander or whatever, then the power plant wouldn't have kept going like as long as it did. And he was bringing it home, like the radiation just
covered in radiation, baby, I'm home.
Yeah, but
Give me a hug.
I feel like, I don't know, Ulrich ruined a lot of things for the women in Winden, and I feel like that's one of them, because if he hadn't been picking on her when he was, then she would have never met him in the woods, and then he would have never gotten the job there, and I don't think that the nuclear power plant would have lasted that long, thus keeping her alive, which Claudia knew.
Which is, like, the great thing about the dinner scene.
Yeah.
Is that, it's like, oh, that like...
These women thriving.
Yeah, because Dick Ulrich's not around. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what was, like, putting it together. It's like, oh my god, like... Everyone, all the time, children's existence ruins people's lives, and yeah, that was like when Katarina makes the wish at the end for she makes the same wish, the world without Winden, and it like sparks something in Hannah to where she it's like a peer says it opposed to her using it for nefarious reasons,
right?
And it's like they are all getting along, and then also and there was another thing too I was thinking about with Charlotte about her and Peter getting married. And how with Charlotte not existing, Peter doesn't have to. I've been brushing up on it. Doesn't have to subscribe to a heteronormative lifestyle. He's actually he's able.
It's some SJW shit.
Yeah, it's on the internet. But yeah, no, he's able to and Winden is, or at least at that table, are accepting of it. To where they're just yeah, cool, man,
they can be who they
they want to.
Who gives a shit?
And everybody is who they want to be in this origin world, because they don't have to. I mean, exist with these people who aren't
these
supposed
time
to.
Bastards. These time bastards making their lives terrible.
Heather, what are your thoughts? Would you have written down rolling around?
Okay, I'll read what I wrote down. I put. Like I said, the lengths you would go to keep your loved ones, your children safe alive. And then I put, the examples. I named Marta and Jonas's kid. I named him Cain.
Going Which around. Is good.
Typical. I figure, Noah being the priest and, Adam and Eve. And then their son Cain, who's just time traveling with that creepy version of himself. The younger one I just don't like. The other two, whatever. I could do without him. But the younger one, if that kid ever tried to hug me like he did to Marta, I would kick him so far away from me. He wouldn't even have a mouth. But so I put, the examples for me anyway were Tannhaus creating the time machine to make his kid live still. Eve keeping the cycle going so Cain continues to exist, their child. Claudia breaking it to keep Regina alive. And then Ulrich and Katarina, in a sense, sacrificing their life for Mikkel. And Michael/Mikkel killing himself to keep Jonas alive, to keep that going and shit. And then Noah trying to bring Charlotte back. That's why I got emotional, because my mother would be this is too much. This is too much work.
Put her in that brain melty chair thing.
Yeah, she'll get through time just fine.
Yeah, she'll be good.
And then I just did without one person there would be no this, and then the Ashton Kutcher chain of events that yeah, which we discussed already, a majority of them. But yeah, no, I don't think there's any one way to interpret this show, but I do think it's just about loved ones and family and getting rid of the knot.
All right, I did write questions because I was we're gonna send this off the right way. We have a format. We're gonna keep this format for this end of this. Otherwise, I love a good routine.
We love consistency. I
love a good routine. I know we kind of answered this earlier, but what characters did you grow to like throughout the series? Somebody you, when I was saying Bartosz, that was a character for me. I just hated that dude, and then at the very end I was like, no, sucks to be you, yeah,
bastard.
But yeah, who was that character for you, I suppose?
Mine was Noah. I didn't hate him at the beginning. I just didn't have any feelings for him. I saw the back tat and I was and then I saw him in the cave and was Young Noah.
He is,
okay.
And he is very handsome.
He is
so striking.
He is, yeah.
Like, and he's got a great like voice. His voice is just like great.
Yeah.
Low, like
I just
timbre. You're just like
young Noah,
German,
like tears in his eyes, like
German.
young Noah can fight. I will say this every day for the rest of my life. He can get it. Hano can get it. Love him. But yeah, no, I think it was him mostly. Claudia, of course. Katerina. That was one for me. Katerina. Because I did not like her in the beginning. I didn't dislike her, but again, like I've said multiple times, she was just too aggressive, too mean. I get why she was that way after watching the show and seeing how she was raised and all that. All the shit that she went through. And then by the end, when she got KO'd by her mom, I felt way worse for her situation than I did for pretty much anyone's. She just didn't deserve it at all.
Especially because it is due to her mother's rearing.
Mm-hmm.
She essentially has she can't talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't simply just be like, hey, I need it. I just need it. I'll give it back. She was like, I've tried to reason with this person my whole life.
Yeah.
So I might as well just pull a knife on them.
Yeah.
And then you backfire. You're just like, oh my goodness. I
just felt so bad for her. She did not deserve, especially to go that way. If it had been, I don't know, she didn't deserve it. Yeah. That was it. I love Katerina. She's a bad bitch. I'm glad that she got the ending that she did. Overall, got to live.
And there was another thing too that I was really happy about.
Beautiful.
She stuck to her fucking guns. She was like, no kids.
Yeah.
None. Zero.
She said that she didn't want it.
Yeah. She's like, this blows.
Yeah.
Being a child blows.
And I love that for her. I thought it was fantastic. She seemed to be thriving. And I know that she did love her kids.
Yeah.
It's very obvious that she loved her kids with the things that she was going to do for them. But, I mean, she seemed like she was doing really well. And I was just very happy to see her like that.
Yeah. Mine would be after going back and thinking about it and being like, man, this poor bastard, Egon, man. When you just really look at his story, he's a poor dumb bastard. And then because it made me really re-examine him when you see Martha's her time Avengers where Egon's on is in the crew, and it's this Claudia they did something different where maybe he's still sick, but they're able to do something, or they're once again maybe there's I think Martha's World doesn't have a power plant, right? I think.
I thought there was.
It
No,
does.
there does.
Oh, okay. And so I was just okay, maybe there's something different for him on that side, on the light side, but Jonas World Egon is just poor dumb bastard. At first he's when he's young, he's just trying to navigate this marriage and his his wife, trying to do things with his wife, and then that divorce happens, and then when he's when the new era of cops come in, no one respects him because he's all hunches and things like that, where they're we have science now, old man, get out of the way.
Yeah.
And then his daughter I'm not putting it in a bad way, doesn't take a shine to him, but she's always loved him and always appreciated him. But then the immediacy of finding out about his death, it kind of smothers him, and smothers him too much, and she kills him. And
I was gonna make a very bad joke.
do it.
No.
But it was reviewing it and going over I was trying to figure out who I still had questions about, and I was just going over Egan. I was like, damn. I was you poor bastard.
Yeah.
It's just it's not pity. It's just man, some dude's a lot in life, especially him putting together Ulrich when he's here's the lyric, and he finds it and he's trying to piece it together. Well, how did you know this lyric?
Yeah.
No, just
he has an idea.
bastard.
He has an idea, but he just doesn't have that.
You wouldn't be time travel, duh.
Especially as a detective, you wouldn't be, and you're just I figured this out, but this makes absolutely zero sense.
He's not Mulder, so
this is some X-Files.
German Mulder. Un solo, Leon.
Was that the only character for you?
Yeah, I think so. Everyone else pretty much was I think I'm the client and president of the Hannah Club. So
I also, like, you know, you brought up that fact, like, and that was something I didn't really notice before, is just how many, like, of the children kill their own parents in the show.
Oh, wow.
I would say basically happens constantly.
And also, it's like it's usually like a head getting bashed in with like a rock, or like someone's head's always getting bashed in. It's very crazy. I mean, because that's biblical shit. Like they already got the Adam and Eve.
So I'm saying Cain.
Yeah.
He may not be the one doing it, but the motherfucker's there doing it.
Yeah. It's just nutty.
Yeah, it's just interesting how that plays a really heavy role throughout the. I want to know more if that's like important by any means, but you know.
I think it's just like the kind of traditional like family like narratives that's kind of, you know.
It's very personal and aggressive.
Yeah.
Russian writings, you know, Greek mythology, you know, Cronus, he ate all his children. Zeus is the one who like overthrows them.
Eating my children.
Yeah, you know, it is just this through line that is in like that's in stories, and especially with like, you know, especially in the small town of Winden, and then when you do piece together that like essentially everyone who's at that dinner table is like a natural birth person. You know, at the end of the movie.
You birther now.
They're natural births. Yeah, they're not time birthers. And
Time birthers.
But yeah,
that's my new band. By the way, it's just synth
time birthers.
I'd listen. I would listen to it. Let's be real. All right.
Sorry.
Busting through the time I'm in.
Or we went the wrong way now.
Or did we?
True. Okay. Was this a love story? We talked about this earlier, and I wanted to come back to it because one of the things, you know, I didn't want to answer the question because I feel like it is a love story.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it is, just not in the way that I had made it seem earlier. Because I was obviously saying like it's Jonas and Marta, that's what it is. But again, it's, you know, the familial love. So I do think it is, but not in a romantic way.
Yeah, I think it's like it's. I think if you examine like all of them, like I guess like it wouldn't be individually and together. Like it is. There's all these other kind of love stories. Like I saw the comparison that that Jonas and Martha are like Tristan and Isolde, where it's like the whole love story is about an aunt and a nephew who can't love each other.
John and Daenerys, actually. That's the one I was thinking
I misspoke. Yeah. And there's that scene when they push Miko out of a high tower. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But like their love can't get
falling through time.
and then like I said, Noah looking for Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Love story. Elizabeth, I mean, she's looking for her daughter and her daughter mom. You know, it's like everyone is acting out of love. Even like when the unknown goes to Trante, like he doesn't, like he's all weird and messed up, doesn't like know how to like express it, but he wants his presence to be known. You know, like I want to have a connection with you in some kind of way, even though that I'm some weird time man going around. But yeah,
time man.
Yeah, me, I'm your daddy, time man. And but yeah, everyone is a love story, and it's what motivates pretty much like everyone to, you know, I mean, shit, like, and it even saves the story at the end. Good thing you didn't see me cry, but when
I heard it.
yeah, when Adam comes up to shoot Martha, and she's just ready. She's like, you know, come get me, you raisin motherfucker. And he's like, I took the bullets out. Like,
her reaction in that scene.
Fool. Yeah, because she's ready to go. She's about it.
No, not even that. It was, you know, every time that you see Gray Marta, she is always so calm and like composed and stuff. But when she realizes that like something is different, that this is not what has happened before, it's new. Like she kind of panics. Like you see that she gets scared because this is not how it's supposed to happen. So it's like unfamiliar to her. She doesn't know what to do. Yeah. And she's always had everything planned. So her reaction there, that's what made me like, I went, oh God. Because I almost like started crying because I was not expecting that reaction from her, but I got it. And it was almost as like, I guess not sad, but it was as striking as like Adam's reaction when he realized like what he actually had to do and like what happened, and like Marta, that wasn't what had happened, and he just killed Marta for like no reason.
And yeah, even when he's doing that, like he still loves it.
Yeah.
He's crying and like
yeah.
hesitating to pull. He's just like I'm just trying to make shit right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nope, that time abortion
Right.
doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
You gotta do something else. And also how accepting he was of like Claudia's like answer, because that's very. I was like, I don't think that didn't like throw me off, but it was just he was just like, because I mean I guess once you're deep in this time game,
Right.
you're probably just gonna accept things.
Well, you've
face
also
value.
just like murdered the love of your life, thinking this would change everything, and it does absolutely nothing, and that basically everything you've ever known is probably a bit of bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it's at that point, you know, you have to kind of be willing to like seek another answer.
Yeah, he's like,
I
all right,
think
cool.
that's why I mentioned Jonas I was always on Team Jonas. That was my fucking boy. I love Jonas, my baby. His immediate reaction to being like, yeah, that's what we need to do in order to do this, like to make everything stop, but that means we'll cease to exist. He didn't even hesitate. He was just like, yes, this is what we need to do. And like Marta didn't even, I mean, there was like, she questioned it because she didn't understand, but like once he explained it, how immediate the reaction was, like knowing that putting this into place would mean that they would no longer exist, like they would just be gone, everyone they loved would just be gone, and they were both just so willing to do it. Beautiful. Loved it.
Yeah,
because I would be like, fuck you, I love my life. I'm having so much fun right now, time traveling, like come on. No,
like there've been a few bumps, but
yeah,
I'm having a good
let
time.
me go find Hano. Just let me do my thing, man.
Just going into every house in Germany.
Hano,
No, all right.
where you at? Find him. Like, how old are you actually right now? I need to know, because it's just young Hano that I'm just like, you can beat me in the back of the head if you want.
I really leaned into the idea of like Jonas and Marta's love story this time, and just like kind of seeing it through that lens. And I do like, yeah, I think it, you know, they are a huge part of what happens, and their love is a huge reason why everything works out in the end. And I just, you know, I this time did get a little more emotional than last time, just because, you know, watching it when like all like every weekend, it was a lot different. And it's just like, I don't know, the fact that he just goes back and he just like says they're perfect together, it's just like, you fucker, like
right,
like
and
that got me, because it's true, like it, like both of them are meant for one another, like their worlds existed because of each other, and just like everything that happened was because of them and part of them. And granted, they were created by Tannhaus, but they had their own, you know, autonomy, and that love was like a very real driving force within their like lives.
That, I mean, that's like you were saying with Magnus and Franziska, like that was paradise. Like they're perfect for each other. They saw the end together. It was just a fucking well-rounded, beautiful show.
Yeah.
Are they?
All right, we got some more.
Okay.
I promise I won't have too many more, but there's like 3 here.
No, dude.
Okay, let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for these.
I mean, who were the main characters?
Oh, I mean, like I was like, I really just want to take off my literary hat and be like, don't want to like bore you with this talk, but like, I don't know, that's like a, like where we are right now in like storytelling that's a very like antiquated idea of like a main character. And I know a lot of people, including myself, have switched over just to referring to characters like they do this in plays, like a principal character. And all these characters are principal characters. And like no one is like the main character, because like we're getting to this point in time where like, you know, this SJW crowd where it is that like everyone's story is important. And so you can't really say that like, oh, this is the main character because like just because we are observing this person completely. It's just not how it works, because like as you said before, like especially with Dark, it is like we are watching all of these people, and without one, you know, you take one of those people out and the whole thing, you know, gets all discombobulated, Sherlock Holmes style. But yeah, I don't think there is. I wouldn't say that there is a main character. I mean, like to promote the show, yeah, you got to put, you know, Jonas on the poster and things like that. But even still, he's like covered up, and like the yellow coat is more of like a symbol than anything else than like Jonas's face. But yeah, I would not say that like, oh, the main character is this person.
I mean, I guess, like, just Claudia is what I would say. For no reason. I just want Claudia to be the main character.
Oh, yeah, no, she's my favorite character. I love her.
I feel like a lot of the conclusion wouldn't have happened without her. I think that she was, like, a focal point for a lot of the stuff, the events that happened. But that's why I would say that she is. But I guess, I don't know. Jonas and Marta, if I was to say they would be the main characters, it would be simply because everything that happens because of them. It ends because of them, like all that. But yeah, I don't really see like a main character other than that.
Because then it's like, okay, well, you say that, but then it's like, okay, well, we just said before, like, well, then who the fuck is Thanos?
Right.
Like,
but that's what I was saying like earlier when I had said that like the two main people, the reason why all of this happened, they're relatively minor characters. What I consider a main character is someone who has the most screen time. That's just what I would do. But in this instance, I literally just think that it's, Jonas and Marta because it couldn't have ended without them.
Yeah.
I don't know. And a lot of, like the realization of things that were happening and like everything that happened between these two worlds, 3 worlds, I guess, whatever, is because of those two. Like, I don't know, I think they're the driving force between all of the ambition.
All right.
Boop. That's what I would say.
Good answers.
Thanks. I didn't even think about that one. Thanks. Yeah.
All right. Were you surprised, emotional about the ending? Anything you would change or possibly add at all?
I don't know. I wasn't necessarily surprised because I knew, like I had said last week or the week before, I can't remember, that there's really only 2 conclusions or like 2 ways that it could have played out while still being good.
Yeah.
So I had expected it in a sense. I don't know. I wasn't surprised. I went in with an open mind, wasn't expecting anything, just enjoyed it for what it was. So no, I was not surprised. I was sad. I wouldn't have done anything differently, but I also just don't understand time travel.
I think you got it, dog. I think you got
you're no longer can say that anymore.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for weeks at this point.
Now.
You've mentioned the butterfly effect countless times.
I know, you did it this time. I didn't even have to do it.
I know. I did it.
You did it, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So it must be my turn.
Yeah, you were next. Talk about the butterfly effect.
Ashton Kutcher.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about is it Amy Smart? Is that it? Is that her name?
That's an actress.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Same girl from Matrix. Yeah, that's Amy Smart.
Yeah. She was in Crank, but
no one cares about that.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, no, I wasn't surprised, and I don't like that. I think like hindsight is vanity. I do not like it when someone's like, oh, they could have did this in a story. Like, oh, you mean opposed to them like 3 years like making a show and then like you just like burn through it in like a week and then like you say that you have a better ending. Like, no, like that's not how anything works.
Yeah.
So be quiet, sit down.
And if you can do it better, then make your own version.
Yeah.
People will enjoy it.
It's mind blowing when people. It's like no, but like
it always stresses me out.
Yeah, I was like the balls of you, dude.
Like, I have times when
or if
I'm
it's
like,
a woman, the ovaries.
Yeah, I have times when I say like, well, I wouldn't have done this just because like me as a viewer just didn't understand it. But I would never say, like, they should have done this instead. Yeah. That would have been better. Because it's like, well, I mean, unless you're talking about someone else playing certain characters, I don't think that is allowed.
Yeah.
You can't tell another person that their work is not what you would have had. Or, like, what you would have done. Because that's just ignorant.
Yeah, it's not math. And it's not like in narratives aren't like plug and play.
It's an opinion.
Yeah, it's just like, no. And I don't think they really could have did anything differently. I like that one of my favorite things at the end is that they get down on the theoretical, the metaphysical when they're both in the Tesseract and they like see each other, because that's like all up to interpretation. Like, are they looking at their younger selves, and if they were looking at their younger selves, why do they not have a memory about that or would have never brought it up?
Well, they said Marta at least said that she remembered it, but it wasn't until that moment that she remembered that, and that was like a very confusing thing for me.
It was like, well, I remember
so
this
has happened before, but they just weren't able to get to the car accident before. Is that what that meant? I didn't understand that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it because like I said, I think the Tesseract and the lights going out at the end
because they did have to time it in the exact. Same. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just working this out in my head because that was one of the things that happened in the show that I just didn't really understand because they made it seem like this is something that had happened before. So in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, that just means they didn't time it right any of the other times.
And for me, I think as I'm thinking this out right now, trying to make sense of it, is that, they didn't, like, it was a memory that was, like, very deep down. It was when they're fucking real young anyway, right. But also it wasn't triggered until that moment because that moment didn't happen till right then. Like that, like this has never, like they wouldn't have this memory at any other point because it never happened. This is when it finally happened. Yeah. So then this memory is finally unlocked because yes, here it is. There we go. Yeah. Here's your memory. It happened. Like it's creating this memory because the time stream, like Christopher said before, it's all happening at one time. Like this is happening all at once. So like if you put that in that mindset, then this has happened right here. Memory is built right there. So when they find each other again, it's like that realization of like, oh shit, I do have this, like I saw this and remembered this, like, and vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like one of the many, I think, bootstrap paradoxes. Like it's a bootstrap memory
right.
for them to where it's like, and then later, like I said, they disappear. So it's like that's like a hard thing to wrap around. It's like, okay, well you had that memory. And it does, like, but like I said, it puts it up in the air.
I was gonna say I like that it's kind of open to our interpretation of like what exactly that scene means. So that's cool. That's
Waller's eye. It's what it is.
Don't get me started.
It's like or his arm, depending on which world you favor.
Where you're at.
Yeah.
I like Jonas's world because it's like filmed the right way. I don't like how everything's backwards and Martha's.
Jonas's world is I mean.
It's real.
I know. I was gonna actually say it, and I just couldn't believe it. Like it's a little bit. It's dark. I was like, "What have I become?" What have I become?
We said the name of the show. It's like triple meta right now. I actually have one more question, and then we can be done.
We are the not. I was gonna say if you got more, keep them going.
No, I just have literally this last one because I wrote them in the order of how I felt like I should read them. And I came up with them on the fly. It's that good.
Damn.
Would you want another season, or do you think it'd be something that could continue into another season?
No, agree.
I mean, I would like another season, like, but I just don't. I don't feel like it's necessary. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like the timeline that they created within those 3 seasons was perfect, and anything else would have been either too dragged out or like it just wouldn't have made sense. I feel like I don't know. I was thinking about how the last like 4 episodes. It's a lot to take in, but at no point did I feel like it was rushed.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the way that the show goes is it starts very slow and then builds up, and then that's when you get it all. And I never felt like it was too much at once. I felt like the pacing of the show was very good. So if they were to have another season, I don't know how they could have made it happen.
Yeah, and I just meant like kind of based off this ending that we got here is like, would you think there would be another season available or something you could do?
Like yes, but like no, I don't want one.
There's
like,
always something.
Yeah, like it's just something you do. Like do I want one? No. Like I and like I said, the ending is perfect because it does give you enough mental candy in my mind to continue to keep going, especially with the ending line of like naming the child or Hannah naming her child Jonas. Like she because it's not going to be our Jonas. It can't be. Like, it's not how DNA works. And but yeah, sit down. But
I need the science behind this.
But like I said, but once again, when the lights flicker, we don't know if that's like, is this another time machine operating or is this just a power outage? Like who knows? And then so if you would like to imagine a fourth series all you want. But I think that I feel personally the best thing they should do is not a lot of shows get to go out like that, and so I think just put the stamp on it, seal it, put it away and then like what we're doing right now, it's like this show is so chewable that you don't really I think anything else would it would either like overpower the soup or water it down. Mm-hmm. So just cash out and get out of there, man.
We got a perfect creamy soup
right here. You do. So creamy. So good.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree 100. I really agree with both of you 100% because I've talked to somebody else about this and it's just like, yeah, no, I definitely would not. They're like, well, you could have another season. It's like, but what would you do? And be like...
And why would you do that?
Yeah, and also, why would you do that? What would you accomplish in this? Would you show that, Jonas exists in this world? And then why does he exist in this world? It's not... Yeah, and you said, it's not our Jonas. Regardless of if they had the same person, it's not our Jonas. The situation's not the same, so it just wouldn't have the same, flavor at all. And it is just, so perfectly wrapped up. It's just, such a nice package, and the way they flow everything through the seasons is, just... Ugh. It's hard to describe. It's one of those things where I like a lot of shows, but I don't think I've ever liked a show as much as I love, this show. There's something about it with, the shortness of the seasons, the way, the casting, how good the casting is, and just so the music, the music could be, the way they have the musical scenes in each episode could be something that comes off really, really cheesy and stupid.
It's hurt a lot of shows.
And so, it's always timed in the same place each episode, but it comes off so naturally where, it builds you into, you're ready for the end of the episode, and you're also... It's always music that's relevant to the show or what's happening, so it's perfectly placed where you're not really that's so dumb. You're just oh fuck, yeah, this is sick, and then you're also prepared for the end of what you're about to get. And I love that, and just I'm really glad I get to share this with you guys a lot. This is something that I super enjoyed. Not just for the ability to do these stupid videos, but also just talk about this, because I haven't been able to do this with anyone about this show, and the show is just, I don't know, it means a lot to me, and I really love it, and I really like thinking about it a lot, because it is a show you can't, every time I tell somebody to watch the show, I'm like, you can't have your phone out, you can't be
it's not even that they're speaking in German. That's,
you just can't.
That's that's C.
Yeah, it's just it's just something you have to be involved with at the same time, and that's something you don't get out of a lot of shows. And I do like the ability to watched it so many times and just seeing new things each time, and then also being able to talk to you two about just things that are happening, and the way you saw them was just, I don't know. It's been really great. I love the show. I would suggest it to literally everyone I know.
That's what I've been doing. I've already gotten 3 people to watch it, and every time I'm like, oh, what part did you get to? Can we discuss it? I want to actually talk about it. I want to hear your thoughts. What did you think of Noah?
So yeah.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
So yeah, that's all I have. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Anything?
I think for time purposes, yes, that's everything.
So that's it. If you've watched all of our videos, we super appreciate it.
Yeah, we do.
Once again, like we said in the beginning, please let us know what we should watch next. We all have ideas, but
Game of Thrones.
If we have input, I don't want to do that.
Let's just watch season 8 then.
I would. I mean, I think what you two watched it. I haven't watched it. I've only seen episodes.
Oh, it's literally only good till
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I've only seen.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I've only seen episodes and I've been on the internet, so I've seen memes and things like that. But yeah, I'm
I mean, maybe we should do it.
I'm not a nerd. So
I really
I'm too
liked
hot to watch those
up to beginning of season 5, and I only kept watching the rest of it because Jaime Lannister is, he's my favorite fucking character, and then also Dario Naharis takes his shirt off at least 3 times, so...
So if you want us to watch Game of Thrones, let us know. Just let us know. What?
I was gonna say, I really do think we should do like we should do Donnie Darko Butterfly Effect versus just like in and out of
versus.
like a versus,
A head to head.
yeah, head to head, and then it ties into time travel and like because like I am interested to talk about like the photo time travel, like how like because what is that even like what is that proposition like how like what are you like what is Ashton Kutcher's character like doing?
All right,
You know?
so
Like, I'm just saying.
we'll come with you with our Butterfly Effect versus Donnie Darko video, and then you also give us an idea of something new to watch. Like and subscribe.
I'll create a flyer for it.
Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and where you get updates because they're talking about they're talking about comics. You guys are talking about comics.
Oh yeah, we talk about comics all the
We
time.
do all the time. At least they're all over the internet. People get with it.
We are the internet.
Yeah.
All right, so we love you. If you've been watching this, we'll see you later.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Ooh, same bat.